and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light Reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake Reminder and Force Brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force Brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye Care U. Safeguard your eyes.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to AMX Season 2. My name is Reed. I will be filling in for Alex for the first couple of minutes here, first series probably. Joining me today for the entire day is Marco, someone who has less commitment issues than I do. How are you doing, Marco?
Doing fantastic, Reed. Hello everybody, welcome. It's going to be a fantastic day, and for the first item on the menu, we are going to Daytona International Speedway for some retro racing with one of the best cars on the service, the Audi IMSA GTO. So cannot wait for that to begin.
One of these days, I'll be the first item on the menu, Marco, but I'm just going to have to wait a little bit longer. The next one on the menu is the ever-popular GT3 class of cars. We'll be touring them out on the ever-popular overpass-ridden Suzuka International Raceway out in Japan. Just there yesterday for Scuba, so bringing it back on the Japanese Grand Prix a little bit later on today. But of course, as Marco mentioned, we are heading on to the road course for Daytona. And if you thought all ovals were created equal, no! Daytona, of course, a very unique racing situation. And you can see just a brief overview there on your screens today. With, of course, 50% chance of raindrops full of the percentage sign, and, of course, a clear weather icon that has a cloud in it. So just helping you guys interpret our excellent graphics. And this graphic will also help you interpret, some stuff. And it breaks down the payment architecture for our races. Basically, there's 3 tiers. You can join for free. You can pay $5 or $20, and that will increase the amount of money you win all the way up to $506 total prize pool for our paid tier 2 races. Some of our racers have already won over $500 this season. We've still got about 70 races to go. So plenty more where that comes from. And of course, you can see a few more breakdowns there. 80 minutes of qualifiers, of practice, 10 minutes of qualifiers, and then about 20 minutes of racing for each race. And today, I was going to say we start the month of May, but we're actually finishing the month of April for a couple days, and then you can see a few of our next race days. And if you want to check out more of our schedule, you can head on over to amxrace.com. We've got full schedule highlights. We've got the leaderboard and all the breakdowns you need over there. And if you want to join us, you can do that there as well. And of course, you'll want to join us on amxrace.com because this is one of many breakdowns of the prizes that you can win. By racing and racing well, you can win up to 8 points, which is to say $8 for first place. And of course, the fastest lap winner will receive another 3 points. And of course, at the end of the season, those are totaled up and shipped back out to you at the rate of $1 per point. And now I'm going to turn it over to Marco to break down one of the most electrifying speedways in current ovular history, and that is, of course, Daytona. What are we expecting to look for from Daytona today, Marco?
Yeah, legendary track, even though it's quote-unquote just an infield road course, like many there are in America, but this is, of course, the birthplace of the Daytona 24 Hours. A very technical track, very difficult braking areas, and lots of straight lines, and that very treacherous fast-stop chicane there at the back will make for some interesting and challenging racing for the drivers. And, the added spice on top of everything is the car we're going to use tonight, which is, of course, one of the classics in North American motorsport, the Audi IMSA GTO. There it is. You can hear the scream of this car that comes more or less from my era, dinosaur time, the 80s. This car, absolutely fantastic. 4-wheel drive. It is based on a production model, but back in the day, you could really go wild and strip of everything that was deemed unnecessary and have a purpose-built race car. Not even headlights are present on this car. They are just there. They didn't even put stickers like in NASCAR. It's just like, nothing, blank. And this car, of course, in real life, raced against the GT3 cars, which now the name has been used by IMSA for the modern day series, GT3. But massive speed difference between the two pairs of cars. We, of course, will only have the Audi tonight. Really a H-pattern shifter, old school kind of car. This one being scanned by iRacing a couple of years back, directly from Hans-Joachim Stuck private collection. He was, of course, one of the drivers for the Audi factory team back when this car raced in IMSA. This car, in his IMSA history, collected many race wins, but crucially, never the title. But as the iRacing page says, I was going through it yesterday in preparation for this race. Never won a title in IMSA, but won the most important trophy, and I agree with iRacing. It won a place in the heart of the fans, and this car, even to this day, still absolutely beloved by everyone.
Yep, they put that trophy right next to Marco's face on the shelf, winning hearts of fans, of course, every single time. Very happy to see such a storied, classic, memorable car here today. And I love the idea of a lot of our car and track combinations for this season of AMX, because they really do give you sort of a different fantasy, a different, what if for the world of racing. We can put any car on any track and, imagine any future or present, truly. And of course, our present today involves this guy, Diego Villarreal, out onto the track for practice. Some of our drivers are consistent qualifiers. And of course, we've seen Diego play quite a bit this season. In fact, at the moment, if I check my overview of the iRacing leaderboard, Diego Villarreal is sitting at in our top 9 total placements for all of our drivers this season. So obviously being in the top 10 is pretty good, and he is absolutely there along with the likes of the other racers who've joined us so far this season. So we do have some very storied drivers here today rocking the Audi on Daytona, and I'm just excited to see what is a very dynamic track, right? Because for most of our infield tracks, most of your ovals, especially in America where I'm from, you get to see a lot of action, turning to the left. But on this one, not only do you turn to the left, you also turn to the right a couple times, which blows mine and everybody else's mind on the infield road course. So, it's you're really gonna have to use the entire steering wheel today, Marco.
Yes, and you can see we are on board with Diego going through the first part of the infield road course, the International Horseshoe here, this long right-hander. You need to get a good exit here, and then here the kink. You can see the exhaust of this car is on the passenger door there, because they needed a way to basically keep the car as aerodynamically perfect as possible. And so what was the best way to put the exhaust of the car? Well, on the passenger door. Why not? It's incredible. If you see, I love modern day motorsports. The cars are amazing, and the competition is the highest it's ever been. But when you go back even just 30, 40 years, well, just unfortunately 30, 40 years ago in my case, and you see the ingenuity that came out of every single one of these cars in order to maximize performance, it is quite astonishing. Checkered flag on the practice session with Gaspar 2.3 seconds in front of Diego Villarreal, and now we are going to switch to qualifying. We can talk a bit more about the racetrack itself. As I was saying, there is a difficult braking zone in turn 1. The car is basically moving from the banking to the apron. You have to brake turning to the left, incredibly tricky bit. Then the infield section, the 2 hairpins, the International Horseshoe and the Western Horseshoe. In between them, you have this fast left-hander, the kink, which is flat out in modern day race cars. We'll see if drivers will be brave. Not easy with these cars, of course. And then you are taking a short left-hander that brings you back NASCAR 1 and 2, and then it's basically the rest of the oval, apart from this, the bus-stop chicane, now called, of course, the Le Mans chicane, in honor of the renew agreement with IMSA and ACO, with the new convergence at the top level with the Hypercar LMDH program. Still bus-stop, I'm the old man that yells at the cloud. NASCAR 3 and 4, and back to the start-finish line.
Thanks for the walkthrough, Marco. Yeah, really interesting race track. Not only do you get that little chicane added, but you also have a track in total, which adds these extremely high camber pathways that you would expect from an oval track, but also a little bit of good old level driving here, and a lot more challenge, a lot more to work with than just your traditional oval here. Of course, Daytona is a legendary track. No matter who you ask about it, it's just exciting to see it be a little bit different. This is the same version they used for the motorcycle races here too, right?
Almost. By the way, the bike track is available as a configuration in iRacing. I think over the years has been used 2 or 3 times in official competition. The difference is basically a couple of the corners towards the end of the race. But when I say AMA Superbike highlights, because it was actually easier, and see that they do the tri-oval there with the bikes, it's interesting, and let's say it takes a lot of courage to ride with those walls so close in a motorbike. It's quite astonishing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, you think these guys are brave. Bike racers are on a whole nother level when you're racing right next to the wall. A lot of racetracks include a lot of runoff, but there's no runoff when there's just concrete moving past you at 200 miles an hour. So, yeah, the only difference, I think, there's a small chicane right before the front stretch for the bikes, but we don't have to worry about that here. Just pedal to the metal around the oval and make your way straight on through. So, it's going to be interesting because a lot of times when you see Daytona being raced, one of the hallmarks and potentially the reason why NASCAR is so popular in America and perhaps not elsewhere in the world is that the level of incidents or general violence and mayhem is quite elevated. However, we removed that obstacle for our drivers' safety by having only two of them here today. And that means that if they manage to crash in the true, you know, I guess, standard style of NASCAR, I'll be impressed. But if not, then we can go ahead and have a very safe and orderly race here today, which is what I'm sure our audience is looking for.
Henry Ford once said that auto racing started the second car was ever built. So in other words, as I was saying to you off the screen, it takes two cars to have a motor race. And for many years, in recent years, IMSA, the official IMSA series in real life, in the LMP2 category, had like for most of the season 2 or 3 entries, in the GT Le Mans category, the GT category, they had like 3 or 4, and the races were amazing still. Sometimes less is more, quality over quantity. I'm really interested to see how these drivers will deal with that and how they will deal with this car, especially because this is a car that doesn't allow for any kind of mistake. It absolutely, when there is a term like old school race car, oh, look at that. Look at the flames coming out of the passenger door. I mean, come on, man. The sound of the engine. And four-wheel drive, which is quite a unique proposition in iRacing. You don't have many four-wheel drive cars. You have, of course, the rallycross cars. Some of them are four-wheel drive, the advanced ones. And some of the Pro 4 tracks, of course, for the off-road track. But apart from that, this is a handful of cars that's four-wheel drive in iRacing. Now, four-wheel drive in iRacing was introduced way back when, in 2015. The Roof RT12 was introduced to the service. Now, you might be asking, what is a Roof RT12? Well,
I was about to ask that, Marco.
Back then, EA Sports had signed a 10-year exclusive license with Porsche across every video game possible. So you could only have a Porsche in the Need for Speed series, basically. So to circumvent that, there is this German basically brand called Roof, which they are specialized in taking Porsche chassis and customizing them for their clients to make like high performance versions. And these cars, given the extensive modifications that they get, they are allowed to rebadge them as Roof and sell them not as Porsches but as Roof cars. So with this trick, this brand became super popular among video gamers because in Gran Turismo, Forza Motorsport, and iRacing and any other game you can imagine and simulator you can imagine, you had these cars that looked like Porsches but were called Roofs. And so iRacing gave us the Roof RT12 in basically fake GT3 version and fake Porsche Cup version. And since they also made a four-wheel drive version of the car, they gave us a four-wheel drive version. But the iRacing physics model wasn't built for four-wheel drive. And so they basically updated the physics model to have four-wheel. Now, the four-wheel drive car is not raceable in official series because it's a bonus, because you bought one car and iRacing gave you 4. The road version, the four-wheel drive version, the cup version, and the GT3 version, because it was. And if you drive in the car, it's a road car with like the CD player. You have the the cigar thingy, that you can use to light up your
Lighter,
cigarette.
yeah.
I don't smoke, and we don't promote smoke, of course. Uh, and after that, the
Unless
two
it's coming out of a
LMP
car.
exactly. The two LMP1 cars, of course, are four-wheel drive, the Porsche 911 and the Audi R18. And this one, I think, is the fourth road-going car that's four-wheel drive in iRacing. So that was a little bit of a backstory, which tells you how ancient I am, And I share
One of these
almost the
days.
same birthday as this car.
Aw, I mean, that means that you have to buy one, right? It's basically your obligation now. Yeah, I remember the very first time I took my driver's test, right? I had only driven an automatic transmission, and then I go in to take the driver's test, and it's a manual, and I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do here, right? And that's exactly how I felt the first time I drove a four-wheel drive car. It's a little bit steep. We were going up a dirt road, and you just flip the button. We're in four-wheel drive mode, and I'm like, oh, it was a new feeling. Marco, is the first of many emotional bonds formed with the many automobiles in my life. So after that, I just got the feeling of like, well, why isn't this just the way everything is? And obviously, our auto manufacturers are sort of getting that idea, and so I'm glad that we have more four-wheel representation here. For roofs, that's like if we got Marco some plastic surgery and maybe put my face over top of his and then called it a reed. Everybody knows what it is, but it's just the upgraded version. And I like to think of Marco's new hairstyle as sort of the roof Marco. Still Marco under the hood, looks a little bit different on the outside.
And of course, one of the more famous models of the roof was the yellow bird, just like the color of my hair. So it all checks out in the end. We are rolling for the pace lap, and a plane is landing, so this is perfect timing.
One of these days, we're going to be racing planes here at AMX, but we're giving you a post-credits teaser in the background. Of course, incredible detail in iRacing, as you can be evidenced by its proximity. They actually bought the land for the Daytona Speedway from the airport. So this could have actually been an airstrip, but instead we race cars semi-horizontally here. They go around the extremely heavy camber of the oval. Our pace car, maybe we should reach out to that guy. If the pace car driver wants to enter this race, we're looking. Give me that guy's email, his Instagram, and I'll hit him up. Literally my job. So pace car is going to show us exactly how to drive in a circle here, and once he does that satisfactorily, we'll be able to get out onto the oval for our, I can't even say oval, the vaguely ovular shape. Okay, there he is. Woof, he was out of there. As we head through the front stretch to go ahead and start off this race, the Caio Gaspar, after actually trying to qualify, will be in the lead. Man, imagine if there was just a way to start your car further ahead of your opponents. Maybe you should tell this Diego Villarreal guy that.
And a good start from both of the drivers as they head in the international horseshoe for the first time. Tough braking area, of course. Very easy to go deep and go straight into the grass. A good pace from Villarreal, but Gaspar seems to wants to make things clear from the get-go. Wants to, you can see 12 laps or a 30-minute time limiter, whichever comes first. I have to say Gaspar might be a bit quicker today, but Villarreal surely wins the battle of the liveries, especially because Gaspar rather boringly is running the racing default paint. Of course, it's the old official livery that this car used to race. Listen to the gear shift. The sound of the clutch being depressed, and of course the turbo engine having to basically take a little bit of a breather, and up down the gas pedal the turbo lag kicks in. Of course, in a straight line this is manageable. A bit less than that, of course, when you are in the third, but first lap seems to be heading towards its conclusion, with Gaspar leading from Villarreal.
Yeah, honestly, I think the better co-caster here would just be listening to these Audis run around the course. Every single time we get the close camera view, get that Doppler effect as it drives by. Oh, so good. Audi 90s definitely do not get the exposure that they deserve. And I really like the ability to kind of go back in time and get that feel for our cars today. Now, this is the road course, and naturally Daytona is not that long of a track, so lengthening it a little bit as we head out onto that version of the road is going to help get that lap time up. However, this is still going to be kind of a short trip out on there, only 12 laps as opposed to things like, the very famous Daytona 500. We are doing a very micro version of that today, so won't get quite that many laps out there, but we will get a chance to see exactly how these drivers stack up against each other. And what's odd to me, correct me if I'm wrong, Marco, is that even though if you look on the little mini map up there and see that our drivers are quite close together, there's still somehow a 3-second difference between the two of them.
Yeah, this road course is quite interesting because, of course, you have an extremely slow speed section, and then you can really let the horses loose here on the backstretch. So what might be like a small gap in the infield, at least visually, with the braking area compressing the cars, then it becomes a bit longer on the straight. And sadly for Diego Villarreal, unfortunately, the draft is not very effective with 3 seconds and a half back. I might say it's non-existent, which is of course the opposite. When you're super close here at Daytona road course, it is incredibly difficult to get that car out off of your back, of course. But for Gaspar, this is the start he wanted, and he goes 145.72. This is the fastest lap of the race so far as he enters this tricky section of turn 1. Of course, iRacing has updated the road course now. The track has had some updates. There are 2 versions of Daytona in iRacing. I think the old one, the first one that was scanned in 2007, is free right now. Has been for quite a while, and basically it was rescanned in 2014 or 15, if I'm not mistaken. But the rescan, funnily enough, only involved the oval. The road course we're racing on is the same one that was scanned in 2007, way back when. It's been superimposed on the new scan of the oval. But then they made some renovation works around the racetrack. They took down the grandstand on the backstretch. It's not there anymore. And of course, they made the grandstand on the front stretch even better. That has been updated for free in the new version. And of course, now we have the new bus stop chicane, which has been reprofiled. And if you really want, there is another chicane as well. Reed was talking about it. There is another one, apart from the bike one, the NASCAR chicane. When NASCAR used to race here, of course, when they had trouble with the schedule in 2020 and 2021, they did some impromptu road courses around here. And it's basically, since NASCAR cars don't have brakes, they had to do an extra chicane before the start-finish line to have them reach a manageable speed at the braking area.
Yeah, that is the difference between this road course and the one for bikes. They had that chicane in there, so always fun to make cars with no brakes go through chicanes, Marco. We love to see it. Maybe keeping that to a minimum here. But something we're not keeping to a minimum is the difference here between Diego Villarreal and Caio Gaspar. For a 2-driver race, I would have hoped for things to be a little bit closer, but Caio Gaspar just, he is only allowed to drive on the inside circle. Apparently, he is very, very dominant at this point, now extending his lead seemingly single-handedly between himself and Diego by now 7.5 seconds. It really just feels like his gas pedal goes down a little bit further than Diego's.
It does. Gaspar seems to be really in his element this afternoon, or morning, or this evening, depending on where you are in the world. He's really going, safely, making it look safe at least, fast, and like in this chicane here on the backstretch and the back start-finish line. Now it's very pick up a slowdown there. But he was of course perfect. Now you might be looking at these cars, and of course remember they raced together with the GT3 Nissan in the official racing series, and trust me, this is one of those cars that you should only purchase in a racing if you really mean to drive them. Now, the dedication, because of course it's not like a pick-up and play car like, I don't know, an F3, an F4 or an MX-5 or whatever. And given it's very difficult to drive, it is less popular than the other cars. Basically, this is raced in the official racing series, basically as a league. So they have like a couple of time slots over the week where the drivers of the series agree to race, make the race official. So it's a tightly knit community. That this is the best thing about it. So you have like a handful of like 20-30 drivers, they all race together, they all know each other. It's basically like racing in a league without being in a league. Of course, the time slots could be problematic for some, given that there are only a couple each week. But also, if you really don't want to do the official season, once per year, this car and the Nissan have their own special event, which unfortunately was only just a couple of weeks back, so you have to wait one more year. The Road America 500. One of the premier events in the IMSA calendar way back when in dinosaur time, and that gets many sign-ups. And again, it's beautiful because the Nissan is such a fast, unforgiving prototype, and the Audi, despite being still fast, is like going like, I don't know, 50% slower. It's incredibly deep when this car is very fast, and it is fast to drive. That makes for some quite interesting multi-class event. The Nissan absolutely, probably together with the Audi, they are considered to be two of the best cars in a racing overall, in terms of feeling and in terms of how good they are. Sadly, they are different to drive than
Man, I'm just listening to the amazing sound, the Audi 90 GTO in the background of Marco's voice, and this should be the default alarm for phone alarms when you set it and it goes off. And all you hear is the dulcet tones of Marco's voice and Audi 90 GTOs in the background. Oh. This is my EP listening music. During my 15 minutes of meditation in the morning, this is what I want to hear. It's going to give me everything I need in my ears in life. And truly one of the greatest tragedies of not seeing more Audi action out there on the track from 90 GTOs, that we don't get a chance to see this more often. Or the side-mounted ignition, or exhaust. That is by far my greatest tragedy, with that technique not catching on more. I really think that in an alternate universe where all cars have their exhaust out the passenger side, truly things are more exciting. Because we already talked about how adding flames to your livery makes your car go faster. Well, surely having them shoot out the side of your car also contributes to the overall thrust. Right, physics major, Marco?
I mean, I am student of sociology, so completely out of my depth when we talk about technical stuff, unfortunately.
Well, what Marco means is he graduated with his PhD in race car physics, and that yes, fire makes your car go faster. He just stuttered a little bit there, so it might have sounded like something else.
One thing I'm a bit fiendish, and I'm thinking like, if you had a road-going car with the exhaust mounted on the passenger door and you were like at a traffic stop, you could basically press down the gas pedal and leave the car next to you in a cloud of pretty nasty stuff,
Oh, I mean, this is just one step away from Mario Kart. You gotta have weapons equipped in your car at all times. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, not only was the very first Road Warrior movie, Mad Max, kind of getting in on this common theme, but there's also this incredible Jason Statham movie called, what is it, Death Race, that involves very similar armaments to our cars. Audi. One of the many ways in which they are ahead of the game, which I believe is their slogan. I'm not, it should have been.
Gaspar is going to NASCAR 3 and 4, finishing another lap with Diego Villarreal minding his own business back then in 12th position. So looks like unless something incredible happens, Gaspar will have to will bring home the checkered flag. Still, you know, with a few laps left, you can see the gaps there. And of course, let me say a pleasant good morning, good evening, good afternoon, night, wherever they are, to our lovely viewers in the YouTube chat. And we invite you, of course, to follow us there. And of course, I've seen this new improvement we've made to the broadcast. The folks in the back always working hard. Now your messages are displayed on the screen, and so we can interact with you basically in real time, which is quite nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge upgrades. The other huge upgrade we got to our broadcast is the chilled out groove music during the break. So if you guys are looking for some of the best in your curated, easy listening music, say no more. We've got got you covered. Every single day, things keep getting upgraded here. So check back and we'll have full VR AI casters. We'll can't believe technological improvement coming your way. So, of course, right now we need to see some of those technological improvements involved in Diego Villarreal constructing a time machine to teleport about 50 seconds into the future. Really, you know, in the future when we finally get to hear maybe some interviewed players, we got to ask this guy, Kyle, Gaspar, what are you doing differently? How does your car? How is it better at turning left than Diego Villarreal? Who knows? There's definitely some secrets going on there, and really, truly, this is one of the greatest things about our tournament format here at AMX, that it really challenges the various disciplines of our players. You really have to know, or at least get familiarized with all the different track layouts, and truly every car does handle a little bit differently. No more true anywhere than here, driving these Audi 90 GTOs on Daytona. Probably not something people just load up on the daily for fun. And it looks like we had a little bit of a spin out there, looking to increase our lap time a little more.
Yeah, Gaspar spun coming out of the International Horseshoe, I think, which you know, cost him basically cut his lead in half. This is the advantage, of course, of getting such a big lead in the first place, is that you can have, you know, you can make a mistake and recover. But of course, it shows you another mistake from Gaspar, and the race will be in the balance once again. To go back to your point, Reed, of course, we'll see. In a very, very clear fashion what you just said in about half an hour time, because when we will be moving to Suzuka, as we get the replay of the spin, we go coming out of the international show, he goes on the power too early, and the curb, of course he hits the curb with the underside of the car getting you know, thrown out of balance, and thanks to the four-wheel drive he is able to keep the car, preventing the car from spinning and spinning. As I was saying, in half an hour time more or less before, we'll be at Suzuka with the GT3 cars. Now, GT3 there is only one row swapped with the 3, but they couldn't be any more different. We will have traction control, ABS, sequential shifter, all sorts of you know, engine that are, of course, revving much lower balance of performance, so nobody can get away from each other. More aero downforce available, more mechanical downforce, wide slick tires. These drivers that are jumping from one car to the other. That is incredibly challenging, and I think this is one of the biggest shifts we've had on AMX this season, going from a GTO car to a modern GT3 car. It's going to be quite interesting to see both of these drivers decide to do a Suzuka race, because there is one thing that seems easy on paper but is difficult once you do it, is jumping from car to car to car after just a few minutes. No practice in between.
Absolutely. Coming through our penultimate lap here, Marco, and that means we have limited time for Diego Villarreal to open up his glove box, which of course are included on all these 90 GTOs, and pull out his Caio Gaspar voodoo doll and go to work, because if he forgot to pack it today, he may just not have what it takes to be able to bring this back. A very difficult race to overcome here. We did see a little bit of a distance between these two guys. Of course, after a minor spin out, now bringing it back to within 7 seconds. So all we need is a couple more of those, and it is Diego's race. However, they both have to happen in our next to last lap here. So time is running out.
It is with only 2 laps left, so of course this will be a lap certain race. We are not going to hit the 30 minutes. I think you only hit the 30-minute mark a couple of days back with the MX-5s, if I'm not mistaken. So we will be going through the full 12 laps tonight. You can see Diego Villarreal going a bit too deep there, coming out of the kink and now into the western horseshoe. Out on the gas when the curb begins to end there, and then braking here on the second set of cones. At least in modern cars, I think this will be a little bit different. This car you have to brake probably a bit earlier, and then of course the apron, which is sealed off by those cones after the disaster of the apron gate from this year's 24 Hours of Daytona in a racing, where the pole position was set by a car that was riding the apron all the way around, and iRacing takes this stuff very seriously, because the guy that did that, the pole position, by essentially cheating, got an indefinite suspension from iRacing. So remember to play by the rules.
Yeah, we're playing by the rules so much that we've eliminated the blue shells that we normally have to give Diego Villarreal a chance. As we wave the white flag, he may need to find something else. Ooh, I thought that was him striking some sparks against the corner, but actually no, it was just the exhaust firing. So my hopes for disaster being dashed upon those same rocky asphalt, well, I guess it's not asphalt, just concrete walls, as I hoped his car would have been there momentarily. Only kidding, of course. And now here we are on board with the perhaps winner. Caio Gaspar, like I said, one of the absolute great players of this. Currently second to only Victor Miranda in points, prize winnings. He has really been doing it well this season, and it looks like today may not be any exception to that. Looks like he is poised to take home the checkered flag here moment. We are ahead of the stretch right now, and coming around that Le Mans chicane, as you are able to see right here. Doing a little bit of a bus stop, of course, nothing stopping Caio Vinicius Gaspar, having completed the second most challenging part of the definitely not oval. He will be coming around turn 12 into 13 into the final checkered flag. Of course, the final checkered flag meaning only checkered flag. We don't do multiples of those yet. So that becomes the way that racing is 25 years in the future. You can quote me on that. Checkered flag is out, and that is the championship of the entire world for all racing. Kyle Gaspar now your champion with a incredibly fast lap time set, so he will pick up the bonus points for fastest lap along with the points for first place finish during our time here at Daytona.
You can only compare yourself to your opposition, and there was nobody else on the track, so Gaspar deserved the winner over Villarreal tonight, and if other drivers think that they are better than Caio, they need to sign up for the next one and try to best him at Suzuka in the GT3s. But Gaspar wins 8.2 seconds over Diego Villarreal here at Daytona with the Audi IMSA GTO. We hope that you got, some good feelings from this race. First one, that if you want to take part, you can sign up at amxrace.com, and then of course if you want to do some more racing with the Audi IMSA GTO, that's a car that really deserves your participation. If you have the time and the dedication, it's one of those cars you should drive in iRacing.
That's right. And if you check Marco's PayPal account, he's got a fat check from Audi in there. So good job today, Marco. Advertising that people should try to make their iRacing experience even more difficult with some very challenging cars, but of course, very, very incredibly powerful. We got a chance to see a beautiful showcase of those cars out on Daytona here today. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, don't go anywhere because we've still got incredible action coming up with GT3s on Suzuka International Racing Circuit. So we'll have all that and a little bit more as we change things up. And of course, in the meantime, you can use that time to head on over to amxrace.com, where of course you can sign up to join any of our racers here as they take part in an over $16,000 prize pool with over 70 races. With over 70 races left to go this season. So what are you waiting for? Call today, and if you call in the next 15 minutes, then play in our season or something like that. 30 minutes, and then we'll be back with GT3s on Suzuka. So don't go anywhere. Okay, cool. Well, I'm out of here. So
Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and Eye Care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye Care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an Eye Care monitor and Eye Care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye Care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care U. Safeguard your eyes.
I've seen this platform.
Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software.
Well, race day 12 here on AMX Global continues. It's Alex now coming in for the second race, and a pleasure to work alongside Marco for the very first time. Well, in your part of the world, Marco, a very good afternoon.
Thank you, Alex. Nice to meet you, of course. And let's get ready for some GT3 action from Suzuka. I think it's going to be fantastic. Quite a star contract with the Audi GTOs running around Daytona from a couple of hours back. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, GT3, one of the stalwarts of sports car racing, and has seen the likes of the 24 Hours of Spa-Francorchamps, the Daytona 24 Hours, amongst other circuits. And of course, we were at the World Centre of Speed just a few moments ago. So thank you for continuing to join our live coverage here, both on the YouTube channel and the Twitch channel for AMX Race.com. That's where you can sign up. So we have 3 tiers, but of course, Marco, GT3, the stalwart of sports car racing, which has even seen 9-time motorcycle Grand Prix world champion Valentino Rossi join the guys at BMW Motorsport Team WRT. But here we are at Suzuka, located in the Mie Prefecture, and this is Tier 1, race number 6. There's 90 races over a totality of what we've got here for Beta Season 2. This circuit has been known as an infamous one, and of course, the good thing is it's one of 2 figure-of-8 circuits in the globe, alongside Scuderia Ferrari's personal test track, the Fiorano circuit. But this track itself has been around since September of 1962, so last year celebrated its 60th anniversary, designed as a Honda test track back in 1962 by John Hugenholtz, and it's got a 1.2 kilometre back straight. As you can see, those are the 3 tiers that we have here on AMX Global. A free tier where there's no entry, prize pool per race, a maximum of $30, a minimum payout of $50. Then you've got paid tier 1, which we're currently competing in. Every single driver that has joined the grid for this race has paid a $5 entry fee, prize pool per race of $134. And then we got tier 2, which will be returning back on race day 13, coming up in just a few days' time. But here is the schedule for AMX Global Beta Season 2. So April 29th sees us head on to race day number 13. And also we have a points schedule. But of course, as we all know here on AMX Global, points mean dollars in your pocket. 25 for a victory, 20 for second, 15 for third, and then we go all the way down to 20th. And also the fact that fastest up the race will secure not only 10 points to their tally so far, also a cool $10 US. And the payout will take place at the end of June after Beta Season 2 has completed here on AMX Global. The circuit itself has been the home of the Japanese Grand Prix since the 1980s, and it's one of the favourites among many F1 drivers. If anyone might remember the overtake between a certain Fernando Alonso and at that point Scuderia Ferrari driver Michael Schumacher back in 2005 or 2006, if my memory serves me correctly. It has 3 different configurations, and it also hosts the GT World Challenge Asia, Super GT that runs the GT300 classes, and the GT500s. The GT500s are the silhouette touring cars. The GT300s are spec GT3 cars that we will have up very, very shortly. But Marco, a great circuit. And the first car that we see is the 888 of Quentin Guignez, but there's a lot of variety. You know, we have twin power M turbo flat 6s, we have snarling, growling 5.2 litre V10s from the likes of the Lamborghini Huracan Evo. A real great class to enjoy, especially with the Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe having just taken place this past weekend at Monza.
Absolutely, Alex. There is a reason why this is one of the most, if not the most popular series on the roadside in iRacing, and of course exploding worldwide in the last few years in terms of car counts on the actual racetracks. BMW, Ferrari, Audi, Lamborghini, Porsche, you name it, honestly, on iRacing, where you, of course, how can I forget my favorite one, the Mercedes here. So a lot of options for these drivers to pick from, and of course many different cars, as we were saying, that can and will change drastically in terms of philosophy. Front engine, mid engine, rear engine, of course everyone with the rear wheel drive, but turbo, naturally aspirated. It's the beauty of when you see in real life racing and in sim racing, of course, the variety of the cars is make the competition spicy, in my opinion, where, of course, thanks to the balance of performance, more or less everybody should be on equal footing as we enter the final 5 minutes of practice. So no matter which car you pick, as long as it suits you, and as long as you are good enough to drive it at a good pace, of course, you can be competitive.
Yeah, well, they do say that variety is the spice of life. And the good thing was, I remember being corrected on a sim racing board. Well, someone was trying to correct me that the 6.2 litre naturally aspirated Falterbach made Mercedes power plant was actually the 4 litre twin turbo when the Mercedes AMG GTs on the road went to lower displacement and turbocharging. But the thing is, Mercedes and the AMG customer outfit at Affalterbach in Germany said, well, effectively, we're going to stick with this tried and tested method, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're riding on board with Caio Gaspar, who earlier on at Daytona picked up his 5th victory of AMX Global Beta Season 2. Diego Villarreal returns for the 2nd adventure, so we head from Florida to the Nice Prefecture in Asia, and this particular circuit is a subsidiary of the Honda Motor Corporation Limited, through their subsidiary Honda Mobility Land, and has a stadium capacity of 155,000 people. We're going through into the S-curves, or the snake train as I like to call it, before we head into Dunlop. And one of the key points of this particular part of the circuit is you're going to be in 3rd gear. The speed is going to vary anywhere between 120 to 160 kilometers an hour, depending on turning in, lifting off the throttle, brake modulation. Now we build the speed over 140 miles an hour, heading into the first of the 2 iconic Degners, the first one of which Heikki Kovalainen, when he was running with McLaren alongside Lewis Hamilton in the late 2010s, went backwards and mounted the wall with the rear axle. Now heading into the hairpin at turn number 11, all the way down to 2nd gear from Gaspar, and you can hear that rumble, that throaty roar of that naturally aspirated, front-mounted 6.2 litre V8 power plant as he gathers speed, going through 200R into turns 13 and 14 at Spoon Curve. We've also got Francisco Guinness running in the lovely Cheetah-esque style livery from with the BMW M4 GT3. It's a car that has really been embraced. It was one of the first. It's one of 4 cars, including the current GTP or now LMDH car, the BMW M-V8 hybrid, and it actually hit the racetrack on iRacing before it actually turned a wheel in IMSA at the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, which started off with the Rolex 24 that year, as we get some wonderful camera shots going through in towards the braking zone out of 130R into the Casio Triangle, the infamous place where a certain Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost collided in the battle for the championship. Gaspar goes for the timesheets with just around 2 minutes to go in this free practice session. He's the only driver so far, Marco, that has broken 2-minute barrier. Jackson Resende, the number 5 from Brazil, is yet to set a respective lap. I'm hoping we see him in qualifying very, very short.
Thanks for the track walk, Alex. That was quite interesting. I love this track, and especially this bit here when I try to unsuccessfully drive around here in my sim racing moments. It's so important to keep the momentum running in that section there. It's so difficult to do that, and then it throws you into this double right-hander. The track gives any kind of corner you can want back to you and throws at you like a challenge. So you need to be prepared for the challenge, and hopefully I think these drivers are ready for that because I'm seeing some very familiar names that we've seen along all this running of the beta season 2 here at AMX. I think it's going to be interesting to see. First of all, Gaspar has got he's in like he's got the juices flowing, by doing the race earlier with the Audi GTO, same as Diego Villarreal, but and Hasenji goes into the calendar. But of course, a massive jump in terms of car and the style of driving the car, etc. So going to be interesting to see if he's going to be, already pumping for the race, already in race mode, but of course needing to adapt to a new, completely different car, or if the guys that were sitting out earlier, and so Ines, Kulavi and Hasenji, they're going to be, not having to suffer from the shock of having such a drastic change in car.
Yeah, checkered flag out for the session as Valentin Guinness improves to within 39 thousandths of Caio Vespar, so the top two in that practice session, separated by less than 4/100ths of a second. Qualifying now getting underway at this iconic circuit here. Opened back in September of 1962 and measures just over 3.6 miles, that's 5.8 kilometers, Caio Vespar. Top of the timesheets, Valentin Guinness in second, Gaston Kulharvi rounds out the top three, Diego Villarreal and Jackson Resenge rounds out the rounds out five, but has yet to set a respective lap time. And especially with one of the things that I haven't seen anyone use in this server is a car that does get a lot of love because of its handling prowess, of course, Marco, is the Porsche 911. And that has been a synonymous car for many a year in GT3 racing. But we've got still, nevertheless, a very nice mixture, but it seems to be predominantly front-engined, rear-wheel drive. And we both know that in GT3 racing, you want a car that's going to be stable under cornering. You're also going to want to have that fine balance between top speed and handling around this circuit. I mean, the back straightaway is about, is quite a length as well in its own right, 1.2 kilometers, which is effectively 3/4 mile. Driver to watch, Jackson Resenge from Brazil. Current season earnings total is $279 US. Currently 7th in the overall leaderboard, and it's his first race in Tier 1 here on AMX Global. Don't forget, you can head to amxrace.com, and if you are a driver on iRacing, we want to hear from you. We also want you all to get involved in the respective chats, because on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, we'll have inputs from the live chat through Discord, Facebook, and also Twitch. But who are you looking out for in particular for this qualifying session and the race, Marco?
Looking at the times in practice, Valentin Guinness seems to me like he could be a factor. He's always been a factor in the races we have had this season so far, where he has been taking part in. So I think Guinness could be one to watch. Of course, Gaspar bringing home the victory earlier, so he's having certainly already a good day. These two are the guys I'm looking at, but honestly, all 5 of these guys, I think they could theoretically end the day on the top step of the pole. Qualifying session will be important, but not super important, because we don't have such a huge field. So for these drivers, there is not, of course, having the pole position is always a nice feeling, and you always want to have the least amount of cars possible in front of you when you start a race, just because, starting in front is nicer, and you don't want to stay out of trouble if trouble should happen. There we go with the driver to watch profile of Valentin Guinness with $83 won in Tier 1, which put him at the top of this particular table, at least regarding Tier 1. Now, you were talking about the Porsche, which I think is going to become even more popular when finally rain comes in. Of course, we've seen over the years the Porsche particular design has always been advantageous in wet conditions. A few years ago, a Porsche GT was able to snatch victory at the Petit Le Mans, I think in 2016 or 15, if I'm not mistaken, because it was raining so hard. And
there we have one.
And there is one.
We have one.
Yeah,
there is one. That was that might be Diego Villarreal. I think I noticed the 22. Yes, and that's on the bonnet of the car, near to where the traditional fueling rig probably gets pumped in. So a very different setup. So this particular car, flat 6 twin turbo boxer engine mounted over the rear axle. So Diego Villarreal might have a little bit of an advantage in the twisty stuff. No one's set a lap time quite yet, as we are close to halfway through the session. Gaspar goes in with a 2:13, so he's the first one to set a benchmark. And that car, This is the thing I love about Porsche, Michael, is the fact that it is every single time a new generation of 911 comes out. This particular one will be the 992 variation. It's not a point of revolutionising something that is tried and tested. It is always a seamless and harmonious evolution that the team at Visor puts in for every single generation. Wouldn't you agree?
That's a fantastic point. You could see, a Porsche from, let's say, 20 years ago and a Porsche from today, and maybe go through all the steps. Absolutely, you could see the, gradual evolution, never a revolution. So you always know what you're looking at, and of course the unmistakable sound of the plastics is absolutely amazing. I am lucky enough to be close friends with all of the top Italian sim racers, especially in the GT3 scene. And go back to the point you were making earlier about front engine car is a bit more stable. I always have a big bit of, each week in the official series in racing, you can basically switch car every race, no? But the top drivers pick one car and stick with it for the whole week, of course, no? There is always this big debate whether to go exactly what you were saying. So maybe a more stable car like the Mercedes, or cars like the Audi or the Lamborghini, which are, or the we have the ancient McLaren, the MP4 12C in racing, the cars that are, let's say, actively trying to kill you each corner, but also quite fast if you can nail, the setup, and you can nail your corners lap after lap. And usually what happens is that in the longer endurance races, they go for the, let's say, the Mercedes, usually teams like car to beat in the longer races lately, or the BMW. And for the quicker races, yes, let's say your 40 minutes officials that go on every couple of hours in racing, Audi and Lamborghini are quite popular as well, together with the Porsche. It's of course, in real life, you have to stick with the same car for one season, possibly more if your budget is not huge. But in sim racing, we have this. That's a good thing. We can jump from car to car and really try for ourselves the big difference in philosophy that these cars have and the way each car adapts to each racetrack.
Yeah, Gaston Coulthard, I think, is channeling his inner McLaren on that BMW, the deep Marlborough and Ajik livery, which is it's great to see. We always talk about this on AMX Global, that the individuality of the liveries that these cars have. I mean, that is a livery that would be outlawed very much under current modern day sponsorship regulations, but Gaston Coulthard says, well, sod that, I'm going to do my own thing. But he goes a bit wide through first turn, through into turn one. There's Jackson Resenge from Brazil, yet to set a lap time. Diego Villarreal is up to his usual antics. We had that just the other day with the Clio. Well, he did post a lap in qualifying for the Clio Cups at Scuba 2000 short, but for the NASCARs, the Next Gen Cup cars at Phoenix Raceway, he did effectively a very good strategy. If he's going to be employing that, you might see that again. But Jackson Resenge making his way through to the hairpin at turn 11. The Mercedes looking a little bit unstable under straight line braking. You can see that the back end is stepping out from left to right, hard into the braking zone. But Resenge yet to set that time. Neither is Villarreal, who's decided to now go on an outlap, which you can actually see on the timing screens at the top left corner of your screens, folks. But great to see that Resenge running in the TK Texaco livery. It's TK and Nick Legend, who's going to be running his final Indianapolis 500, and also a very keen and avid singer. He sings to Tony Canan. Tony, if you're watching, a very, very good early morning. He's probably asleep because he lives over in the United States these days. But 30 seconds to go in this qualifying session. No one has broken under the 2 minutes barrier. And to be honest with you, I'm not 100% surprised. It will be quite interesting to see Nunez and Coulthard over their last effort in qualifying. They might, at a push, depending on how quickly the server times out. Paul Harvey does improve his lap time, but stays in third position. Sanjay, I think, has had his lap time disallowed due to extensive overuse of going beyond track limits. But Kyle Gaspar, with the checkered flag now coming out for the session, the number 89 has just put in the best lap after free practice, 1 minute 59.731. Corentin Guignez from France is over half a second adrift and has put in a personal best. So I've got my fingers, toes, arms, legs pretty much figurative, not literally but figuratively crossed at this moment for Guignez as he's making his way through into 130R for the final push towards the start finish line. Out of the 130R left-hand sweeper through into the Casio triangle, and he's going to come out of last turn or last corner, turn number 18 on this circuit. Is he going to improve? Just waiting until he crosses the line. He does, and gets to within 0.12 of a second on his final lap. Gaston Kulharvi about 65% of the way through the lap. He's going to be making his way through into what looks like Spoon Curve. BMW looks very well planted, but Kyle Gaspar with that Mercedes seems to be an unbeatable combination right now.
Seems to be on point tonight after that win earlier. Now this pole position, Corentin Guignez is a super fast driver, and still he wasn't able to best that 159.731. He came close, but not close enough. Let's see if Kulavi can make it even a bit closer in the top 3, as in front of him we see Hesenji crossing the line, maybe getting finally a lap on the board. He does, he's in third, so he jumps Kulavi, who doesn't improve, and so at the last gasp, Gaston Kulavi gets kicked back one position, so and Hesenji, of course, gets up into third. And here are your results.
So, pole position for the second race in a row for Kyle Gaspar, aiming for his overall 6th win. And he currently sits in second position in the overall ranking in the leaderboard for Season 2 here on AMX Global. They are starting to ready up behind the Porsche safety car here at this iconic 5.8 kilometre, 3.7 mile circuit. 10 laps of racing await our 5 drivers, as we are just waiting for Jackson Resenje to jump onto the grid, and hopefully that will mean that he gets an opportunity to start from position. Sometimes this does happen with gridding up. You are occasionally having to wait for one driver, whether they've had to reconnect the server if they have disconnected and they can't get back into the race. Unfortunately for Jackson Resenje, that will mean it is an official DNF, a non-finish, because every driver in AMX Global knows that there he is on cue, the Canaan Esports Brazil driver in the number 5, and our grid is ready. It will be a customary side-by-side rolling start, as is traditional in GT3 and GT4 racing, both in real life and sim racing. Going to be a short formation here at the Suzuka International Racing Course, based in the Nikko Prefecture in Japan. And it will be Kyle Gaspar leading from pole position. Corentin Guignez alongside him in the 888 BMW, the number 888 run by Craig Lowndes for many a year. The Repco Supercars Championship. Now the pace car will peel into pit lane. We are under starters' orders for 10 laps here at Suzuka. Guignez trying to just keep ever so close to Resende, waiting the wings. Kulharvi and Villarreal at the back of the grid. Now they put the pedal to the metal here at Suzuka. The green flag waves right now, and going down into the first of 18 corners. Jackson Resende with a fantastic start. Gets past Guignez, who's right back up the inside through into turn number 1. There was nearly a little bit of a touch between left front of Guignez and the right rear of Resende as they go through into the S-curves here at Suzuka. But Gaspar has already opened up a minimal lead of about 3.5 tenths of a second on the approach into the left-hander coming up at turn number 7 at Dunlop curve, before the 2 Degners at turns 8 and 9. Diego Villarreal in the Porsche. It's about 1 second off of Gaston Harvey. But that was a great start there, Marco, from Jackson Lesenge, getting past Corentin Guignez on the opening run down to the first corner.
Fantastic start, and once again goes to show the advantage of starting third on rolling starts in iRacing. It almost never fails, unless you have like a VR visor or like a big screen setup. But even in those cases, you have to keep your head turned on the side to see when the leader starts, whilst the guy in third has to look straight in front of him, and he can be very, very close with the leader. So once again, this proves to be the case. So Resenji jumps in second place, and Guinness, of course, didn't want this to happen because he knows he is probably the faster of the two compared to Resenji. But this gives an early advantage to an informed Caio Gaspar, who's looking to close the first lap in first place as Resenji goes a bit wide. By the way, big thumbs up for the Greg Lowndes shout, my favorite supercar driver, and of course now that he's retired from full-time competition, I have no longer a favorite driver after all these years. I've been watching supercars since 2011, so it's been a while.
Yeah, now we complete our opening lap, and Caio Gaspar has got Jackson Lesenge, who actually went wide not just at the exit of 130R, but going into Spoon Curve on the opening tour. Oh, bit of a moment there for Corentin Guignez. Might have just outbraked himself going into the opening corner. Has got quite a bit back from Jackson Lesenge, who is keeping Caio Gaspar very, very honest. That means that Gaston Harvey in the Marlboro liveried BMW M4 GT3 is within 7/10 of the French driver running in the Triple Eight, Diego Villarreal. I don't think might be quite 100% happy with the Porsche because it's probably down in 5th place and is close to 3.4 seconds behind Gaston Harvey through into vectors 1 and 2. Gaspar, Lesenge, Guinness and Harvey. And these three drivers, folks, are separated by just 1.9 seconds. After 1.5 laps out of 10 of this race. And this is Tier 1. This is race number 6 of AMX Global Beta Season 2. We've got on board with Jackson Lesenge from Brazil, building its speed over 140 miles an hour. Now 5th gear, and then up to Spoon Curve. It's going to be hard on the brakes, down the gearbox, into third, the first part of Spoon Curve. Might be down to second, not quite, 115 kph on the exit. And Lesenge is definitely showcasing that Gaspar is not going to have it all his own way. Guinness is trying to build some pace in that BMW in third position. Harvey has dropped a little bit further back as we head back into 130R once again. And not so wide this time from Jackson Lesenge there, Marco, but look how late he was on the brakes going into the Casio triangle.
I am quite surprised because I thought that Lesenge would have been a bit more... as we have a mistake from Guinness, who has to actually enter the pits, maybe for some repairs. That car is scrapping wildly. Oh wow, what happened there? Maybe some contact at the Casio triangle with Flavi, maybe, Alex.
Well, it looks like it was the left rear that took the brunt of the damage, and that sent the car into a grabbing style as opposed to tracking straight and true. So he's initiated the fast repair. He's going to get back out onto the circuit. So there is still time for Guinness to close in on the likes of Villarreal. Might not have enough of an opportunity to close on Gaston Harvey in third position. But two Brazilians leading the way here at the Suzuka International Racing Course. Now nearly halfway through our third lap out of 10. And this has been a very interesting battle between the two Brazilians here, Marco, mainly because of the fact that Gaspar is the one leading the way. He's effectively the guinea pig in terms of the track evolution, but Lesenge can really showcase his late braking prowess. I think we're going to go to a replay very, very shortly. Now, here is what happened to Corentin Guignez, and this is coming out of 130R, loses the back end. Oh, big hit on the left-hand rear of the car. And that was unfortunately all she wrote. And you can just see that the camber, the toe in, well, the toe out was more toe out forwards as it was backwards on that left rear wheel. So major suspension damage for the French driver. But now Whether that's going to be compromising in terms of his Tier 1 earnings in comparison with the rest of the field, because Caio Vespa, the way he's going, he might actually get ahead of Quinton Guiñez, because looking at the standings, they're $6 apart in terms of their Tier 1 earnings so far. But Jackson Resende clearly has a point to prove today, and even though this is his first race in Tier 1, he's got an opportunity to fire a warning shot across the power of everybody else in this tier.
And he's really keeping up with the leader. Now gap has increased a bit, but as I was about to say earlier before the crash happened, I was sure that Jackson would have been a bit more in trouble and would have had to spend the majority of the race looking backwards instead of forwards, but he's proving me wrong completely. He's keeping up in touch with the spar, has created a gap in the backwards. He was pulling away from Guiñez already, and now he's pulling away from Clavi, and Guiñez has gone past Villarreal, who I suspect must have made a mistake somewhere, because he dropped quite a few seconds, and now he's down.
Yeah, the thing was, Villarreal was about 8 seconds up the road from Quinton Guiñez, so yeah, like you say, that's probably more than likely a mistake for the driver with the Porsche, the number 22 Porsche. But still, this enticing, captivating battle at the front of the field. It's the inter-Brazilian countryman war at the moment, with Caio Gaspar gunning for his sixth of what will be his 6th win overall in this week. So we're going to have a replay now of Guiñez passing Villarreal for 4th place momentarily as Resende closes in. Here's the replay of what happened with Diego Villarreal. This is into the first corner. The back end steps out to the left-hand side. He's trying to catch it. He's lost the back end, and very closely, I mean, well held by Diego Villarreal, rejoins the circuit, ends up cutting the grass a la Valtteri Bottas back in Austria in 2020, and there you go, round the outside of him. Like nothing transpired at all this time for Guiñez, who is 19 seconds off the Gaston Bilbao. Now heading on to the midpoint of this race, and the gap has been anywhere between half a second to 0.8 between Caio Gaspar and Jackson Resende. So by putting in quite a significant amount of laps in the pre-practice session before we went to qualifying, is always a very crucial advantage to have here, Marco, especially when you're battling for prize money.
Absolute practice makes perfect, and it's really one of the big lessons you learn when you start racing, that nothing beats a good amount of seat time in practice session. The pro drivers practice for maybe even sometimes 15 hours before a big event, because we have limited time here, especially because the beauty of AMX being that the drivers are constantly thrown into different situations to test their skills, and there is really no competition around here. So practice session before the actual race we're having right now serves just as a quick refresher before they are back to the action once again. But practice is so important, and you can really see your results improve, and more importantly, your consistency improve. Because once you got the consistency down, then you can really fulfill your potential as a driver, both in real life and in sim racing. Looking good for Castengi, and of course for Gaspar, who's under big pressure because the gap going up and down. The previous lap was actually quicker for Castengi than it was for Gaspar, who's Castengi is using some creative lines. Oh, creative, I'm afraid, right now. It's costing big, and a bit of breathing room there for our leader.
Yeah, you brake too hard coming out of, you either outbrake or don't brake at all. Coming out of 130R through into the Casio triangle, it can be at your detriment, and that's clearly what has just happened with Jackson Resende going to the left-hand side of the Casio triangle. The gap was half a second, 0.6 going into that chicane. Now it is expanded by over 1.5 seconds to 2.1. So Jackson Resende hopefully that moment going through the Casio triangle hasn't caused any undue, unnecessary flat spots on the tyres. Sometimes you can effectively scrub the tyres inadvertently to a wrong angle. In the UK we call a bit of stepping, even though it's a flat, slick tyre that these drivers are using here on iRacing. There is our race leader, Kaya Gaspar, but the thing is, despite that mistake, Marco, Jackson Lesenje has managed to close that gap up by half a second. And the main reason being, he wants a victory. He wants to put one up on Kaya Gaspar, who wants to take a double victory here today.
Gaspar knows he can't afford any kind of mistake from now on to the end of the race, and so despite the gap there, which is still quite small in my opinion, he really knows that one mistake and he's gone. You can see here mistake from Hasenji going deep on the brakes there. Of course, it's a tricky corner, and of course with ABS you need to sort of have a different approach towards braking areas. We look at Gaston Kulavi, who's having a quiet race, in third position right now, the Argentinian, going through the Casio triangle himself, and is looking to bring home a valuable haul of points and of course podium. He needs to hold on for the final 4 laps of this race. 201.7 for Gaspar, 201.7 for Kulavi, who was actually just a tad quicker than Gaspar this past lap. Of course, small gains won't do anything in the bigger picture. Seems like Gaspar is safely holding on at the front. Hasenji has got another lap where he's had some off tracks, so he's had his lap time invalidated. 2.6 seconds between the first two, and then it's 3.5 between second and third place for Corentin Guinness. Unfortunately, that unscheduled stop going to cost him dearly, because unless something crazy happens in front of him, he's going to have to be happy with before.
Yeah, we did see some craziness on race day number 11.
Oh!
Kulharvi off at the second Degner, and that is going to give a little bit of breathing space. A little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel for Corentin Guinness. I hate to think how much time Gaston Kulharvi, that was probably the best part of well over a second, maybe a second and a half, he's just lost through that moment. And luckily he kept the foot planted and to get it through the gravel, through the kitty litter, and the number 27 Marlboro livery BMW M4 GT3 lives to fight another day. And he has lost, that's about 2 seconds that Gaston Kulharvi has just lost to Corentin Guinness. In the meantime, however, we're going to have very shortly have a replay from another camera angle of Gaston Kulharvi's faux pas going to the second Degner. So he turns it in and into turn 8, and the back end steps out to the left, and he goes straight on. I think he just carried a bit too much speed through Degner number 1 at turn 8, and he was very, very lucky not to go straight on and hurtle into the barrier on the left-hand side, because that would have meant a trip to the pit lane. We've had another off-track for Diego Villarreal in the number 22 Porsche, but Jackson Lesenje, the previous lap before this one, that had just crossed the start and finish line, was the best part of about 0.6 of a second quicker than Gaspar, but the gap has now expanded to the best part of nearly 3 seconds in the favour of Kaya Gaspar, the number 89. So it is a Mercedes 1-2, it's a BMW 3-4, and Porsche bringing up the rear of the field. But I think Gaston Kulharvi then, Marco, was very, very lucky indeed.
Yeah, I basically almost commented first, just about saying about Guinness needs something incredible to happen in front of him to get on the podium. After 2 seconds, we see poor Gaston almost having a close meeting with the barriers there at Degner 2. He got lucky there. He was able to save the car, and he had 18 seconds over Guinness, so he was able to basically continue losing what in the end was a small amount of time compared to the disaster this could have been. So looking good for Kulavi on the podium. Of course, now with this mistake, second place is completely out of the equation, but never know what might happen. As you see, Guinness surely is going to be. You see, the smallest of margins sometimes, because I think that Guinness could have been absolutely a contender for the victory tonight, but it all went unraveling after he lost second place at the start of the race. He was third position. He was forcing the issue to get back past Jackson Kasenji. He made a mistake. He pushed even harder. And because of that, coming out to 130R, he made another mistake. And this time it cost him even more because he went into the wall. And of course, had to go to the pits to take the fast repair and get out. So that start he had, where he wasn't quick enough to get in front, to stay in front of Kasenji, seemed like a small thing, but in the end was the big difference in the front of the race, because it basically spiraled an avalanche of errors and mistakes.
Well, we're on to the penultimate lap here at the Suzuka International Racing Course, Tier 1, Race 6 of 26 Season 2. Kyle Gaspar very much has been the man on form all both races for the Audi 90 wins the GTOs last time out early on today at the Daytona International Speedway. The Brazilian will pick up what will be his 6th overall win in around about a lap and a half's time, but a very comfortable gap ahead of Jackson Vasenje, so it will be a Brazilian 1-2 in Japan here at Suzuka. There is your second place driver, Canaan Esports Brazil racer in the number 5, running the same number as Nigel Mansell back in his days in Williams in Formula 1, and also when he went over to IndyCar in 1993 and has been the last person to win back-to-back Formula 1 and IndyCar titles. Gaston Harvey running in the same number as a certain Nico Hülkenberg in Formula 1, the number 27. Number 22, synonymous with Jenson Button and Lewis Hamilton, who ran with both respective numbers on their race cars. They respectively picked up in 2008, it was Hamilton that took the F1 World title, and for GP, it was Jenson Button who took the title a year later. Jenson Button, also known for his Super GT GT500 racing with Honda Team Kunimitsu around circuits like here at Suzuka, Fuji, Sugo, in the Honda NSX GT500 car. But the white flag is now out as Kyle Gaspar has lost a small modicum of that race lead, around about just over 3.1 seconds, as the throaty, rumbling roar, naturally aspirated, front-mounted 6.2 litre V8 is powering the Brazilian 2. And it looks like, as our good friend Goemate Carmine saying, Gaspar drifting. Well, he's probably putting on a little bit of a show. He knows that he's got enough of a little bit of an advantage in hand to not worry about Jackson Vasenje, who troubled him for pretty much half the race as he made his mistake in the Casio Triangle there, Marco.
Yes, sir. It's looking like it's going to be, at the end of the day, as Villarreal, I think, has called it a day and has retired. So we are down to 4 cars in this final lap for Gaspar. Quite a successful day at the office. He's going to bring home pole position in both races, bring home victory in both races, and I think, if you can see the fastest lap times on the screen on the top left, I think he also has the fastest lap of the racing. So, looking like, couldn't have gone any better for him.
Very true. We're now going to see the replay. This is oh dear, not the place you want to lose the back end. And he's probably flat spotted the rear tyres. That was Villarreal coming out of 130R, but through into 130R for the final time on the 10th and last lap here, Tier 1 Race 6. He's done the double here today here at AMX Global through the Casio Triangle. And number 89, Brazil's Kyle Gaspar, out of the final corner, will come across the line, and the number 89 Mercedes, a flash of the lights. He takes the win by nearly 3.5 seconds ahead of Jackson Vasenje. What a great performance by the number 5, who was, and Gaston Kulharvi skirting the wall, quite literally coming across the line. Mind yourselves, don't clatter into anyone else. coming across the start there, following there, Gaston. What could have been for Corentin Guignez and Diego Villarreal rounds out the 5-strong grid here at Suzuka International Racing Course. The beauty of this is, folks, every single driver got to within 80% of race distance. That includes Diego Villarreal. So every driver today picks up points, which means prize money Caio Gaspar gets an additional 10 points on top of the 25 for the victory, which means that he also gets a participation points prize as well. So a clean sweep, the Grand Chelem for Caio Gaspar. Aerial results with Resenge, Paul Harvey, Inez and Villarreal rounding out the 5-strong grid. But Marco, I mean, what a way to conclude race day number 12 here on AMX Global. Into GTO, the old school Audi 90. Love the fact that one of the drivers, I think it was Villarreal, that was using the Audi RS Q e-tron Dakar livery on his car, whereas Gaspar went with the tried and tested 1980s sort of like DTM IMSA GTO livery, which was really, really cool to see that they both brought a bit of classic and a bit of modern day Audi savoir-faire, so to speak. But what are your final thoughts before we wrap things up here on race day 12?
Yeah, you were saying classic and modern, both in the liveries department for the Audi and in the racing we've had today. And in the end, Caio Gaspar was fantastic. I mean, he was perfect all day long, and in the end, he needs to, we need to talk about him because he was absolutely fantastic. As you were saying, also got the participation. So basically, anything that was on the table, he got back to him. So fantastic performance for him and a morale booster, of course, for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, indeed. Caio Gaspar today has picked up his 5th and his 6th victory of AMX Global Beta Season 2. Of course, Corentin Guignez will find out about the updated standings with regards to Tier 1, but not too far away, folks. Race Day 13 will soon be upon us on April 29th. We've got Scuba once again hitting the calendar with the Toyota GR86 Cup cars. That will be free tier race number 13. And then we go back to Tier 2 for race 7, Porsche 992 Cup car. Don't forget, hit us up on socials. You can see all the links for Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, Discord, YouTube. AMXrace.com is the place where you need to sign up to participate in any one of the races, and also AMX_Global on TikTok. That's it from us here. Big thank you to Marco. Big thank you for Reed for joining Marco for the first race at Daytona International Speedway. A big thank you to Automanics, BenQ, and we're powered by Upbit here at AMX Global. Don't forget, head to AMXrace.com. We'll see you for race day 13 with Toyota GR86s and Porsche 992 Cup car action. Until then, goodbye. See you next time.